In a bid to tackle femicide and gender-based violence in the country, President Ruto has urged politicians, public officers, religious leaders, traditional institutions and families to play their part in reshaping how boys are raised. He emphasized the importance of nurturing boys into men who contribute to creating a just, safe, equal and inclusive society. Ruto warned that the increased cases of femicide and gender-based violence are making women feel unsafe even in their own homes. He promised swift action by relevant authorities to address reported cases, assigning Deputy President Kithure Kindiki the task of presenting an affirmative action plan within 6 months to guarantee the safety of women.
It is time for each of us, political leaders, public officers, religious leaders, traditional institutions and family members, to do our part in raising boys into morally upright men who will never need to affirm their masculinity at the expense of women.
While acknowledging the constitutional right to protests in the Kenyan democracy, the president admitted his government is facing challenges in balancing citizen protection with democratic freedoms.
The tension here is stuck. We have a democracy which we are proud of, must defend and should deepen by all means. And at the same time, we have citizens whose lives, rights we must protect, and a nation whose security, stability and prosperity we must safeguard. The task at hand is complicated.
The head of state also addressed reports of increased abductions and enforced disappearances, attributing some cases to misinformation and others to lawful police arrests where suspects were presented in court. However, he reiterated his commitment to the rule of law.
I must, however, make it very clear that there is no attempt to justify or excuse illegal arrests. Such would be a serious threat to the life and liberty of citizens. I condemn any excessive or extrajudicial action which puts the life and liberty of any person at risk, including disappearances and threats to life.
The president's silence on the alleged abduction of Uganda's opposition Kizza Besigye and his reappearance in Uganda was conspicuously loud. He also downplayed the possibility of continuous abduction by police officers, calling on Kenyans of goodwill who have information where police officers are being involved in these abduction cases to present themselves and report these cases to relevant authorities. For K24 from Parliament, Nairobi, I'm David Kagina.
Ruto has announced an escalation in the war against corruption to a whole new level. In his address to the nation today, Ruto stated that this time he will ruthlessly deal with corruption loads, while warning government officials that he has launched an intense crackdown on graft within his administration to save the country from this menace. Majibu Kisau reports.
The fight against corruption has been a persistent problem for a long time. Today, in his speech, the president addressed the issue, presenting strategies to tackle it within his government.
The many difficult assignments I have undertaken, this fight against corruption is one I now take on with resolve going forward.
The president told government officials that the crackdown on corruption is already underway, and this time is going to be intense. He also called on the judiciary and parliament to step up and support this fight, stating that it's their time to get involved or remain as mere spectators, reading reports about the battle.
Independent institutions charged with this responsibility must up their game, pull up their socks, and match up to the expectations of the people of Kenya.
The president's remarks come in the wake of heavy criticism from religious leaders in the country who recently accused his administration of rampant corruption. Ruto said that because corruption poses a significant threat to social justice, development, national security and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, he will seek a collaborative approach with various agencies to address the challenge.
All these measures will only achieve intended results if and only if the institutions charged with combating corruption and promoting efficiency and integrity stop hiding behind the transparent screen of independence.
The issue of suspects interfering with evidence was also highlighted, with the president noting that it cannot be the case that the Director of Public Prosecutions continues to drop cases simply because somehow they fail to produce witnesses.
It cannot also be the case that corruption suspects rush to court to obtain anticipatory bail that shields them from due process and enables them to compromise investigations. There is also no reason for corruption cases to drag in our courts for years, when the same courts are able to determine election petitions and related disputes within 6 months.
Majibu Kisao for K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, more than 15 million Kenyans have registered to the Social Health Insurance Fund, now referred to as Taifa Care. During the State of the Nation address, President William Ruto says the new system has assured Kenyans of access to health services upon registration, even as the government strives to clear the pending bills. Robbie Omondi now reports.
The shift from the National Health Insurance Fund model to Taifa Care is fundamental and radical in both scale and character.
In his State of the Nation address, President William Ruto has announced that the government over the past month has already disbursed 5 billion Kenya shillings to settle long-standing debts owed to public, private and faith-based organizations, and other 3.7 billion to be disbursed on Friday.
Taifa Care has undertaken an accurate costing of all healthcare-related goods and services in order to provide timely, effective, and efficient service to every Kenyan that is affordable. Additionally, the NHIF had a waiting period lasting between registration and eligibility for service. I think it was like about 3 months. Under Taifa Care, citizens are eligible for all services upon registration.
While urging Kenyans to continue to register to the now Taifa Care, the president stated that more than 15 million Kenyans have already been onboarded and 60% of employers have successfully transitioned.
Once the transition from NHIF is complete and SHIP becomes fully operational, Kenya will have a healthcare system that guarantees dignity, peace of mind, and equitable access for every citizen for the first time in our 60 years of independence.
Ruto says that the digitization of the services and the system comes as a solution to ending corruption as seen in the previous fund and ensure funds allocated to healthcare services is used for the same purpose.
By eliminating unnecessary human interaction, we are tackling corruption, reducing inefficiencies, and ensuring that resources are used where they are needed most.
According to the president, Taifa Care will ensure counties no longer struggle with shortage of medicine, equipment and staff, which has been a major setback in service delivery, forcing Kenyans to suffer with access to healthcare.
Too many households have lived on the edge, just one illness away from financial catastrophe. Our healthcare system has historically neglected the poor and vulnerable, leaving them without any option, while private sector medical covers remained out of reach for the majority. This is precisely what we will correct through the provision of universal health coverage.
His sentiments were echoed by leaders who said that in due time, Kenyans will not only have full access, but also affordable healthcare, so long as one is registered.
The universal healthcare must work this time round, which is a good thing to Kenya.
Normal Kenyan, the ordinary Kenyan, the downtrodden cannot oppose SHA. They cannot. Those who have alternative medical cover, kama John Badi, those are the people who have problems with SHA.
Robbie Omondi, K24.
Now, President William Ruto has today defended the government's new university funding model, highlighting its role in easing the financial burdens on higher learning institutions. Now, in his State of the Nation address, he also provided updates on efforts to tackle the education sector's challenges, including the transition to the competency-based curriculum and the shortage of teachers. However, the president did not directly address the ongoing lecturer strike, which continues to disrupt university education across the country. Instead, his focus shifted to governance issues at Moi University, where he called for urgent action to resolve internal disputes. Harriet Chimea reports.
By 2022, the education sector faced a crisis with unclear CBC implementation and a shortage of 110,000 teachers and 23 public universities at risk of closure, including major institutions like the University of Nairobi and Kenyatta University. Ahead of the State of the Nation address, many expected the president to address the CBC transition, university funding model and the lecturer strike.
Wa university wako home kwa sababu hawana pesa. Kwa nini ni kitu gani kinaendelea? Atuelezee ili tujue ni nini kunaenda na mulagani.
Na tunaona pesa inatolewa huko sijui makanisani. Sisi tunaambiwa hakuna pesa. University walimu wamegoma. Hatujui hata watoto walio grade 9 wanaelekea wapi. Hii CBC pia ni kama wamekorogeka. Hao watoto by the way ni kama masomo yao yameharibika kabisa, maana hakuna mwelekeo wowote. Kwa hivyo tunaomba rais, hatutaki ahadi, tunataka vitendo.
Wanafunzi wetu, watoto wetu wako majumbani na ili hali imebaki wiki 3 semester kumalizika. Kisha waziri wa elimu anakuja kutuambia mitihani itafanywa mtihani kwa mtu asiyesomeshwa. Kwa sababu ya hiyo, tungelimwambia rais afikirie. Angalia CBC hii ambayo kwamba ya watoto wetu hawana madarasa, hawana lab. Imekuwa watoto wanasoma shule za serikali, wanakuja lab katika shule za private. Hizi ni mambo ya aibu.
However, President Ruto defended the university funding model, citing its role in relieving financial strain and acknowledged the hiring of 56,000 teachers with plans for 20,000 more by 2025.
This model gives priority to the most vulnerable students, offering them up to 95% government support, while also pulling our universities back from the brink of collapse. And 23 out of 40 public universities were technically bankrupt and at risk of closure. Among those facing severe challenges were huge institutions, such as my own alma mater, University of Nairobi, Kenyatta University, Moi University, Egerton University, Maseno University, Masinde Muliro University.
While addressing university challenges, Ruto did not mention the lecturers' strike, but urged action to resolve governance issues at Moi University.
The remaining challenges for a few universities, like Moi University, are related to internal administrative and governance issues, which I have given firm instructions that they should be addressed.
The lecturers' strike, now over a month long, will continue until the full 9.7 billion shillings promised for their 2021-2025 collective bargaining agreement is disbursed.
I want to tell our members wherever they are that the strike is still on. We have agreed, and I want to thank Parliament for having seen the lies, and we have agreed that the cost of the CBA is 9.7 billion, as was calculated at Machakos. We have agreed that if they have 4.3, we can take, but we'll only call off the strike once we get a firm commitment how the government is going to pay the balance of 5.4 billion.
The president also highlighted steps to improve education access, including a seamless transition to junior secondary school with grades 7, 8 and 9 now in primary schools to cut costs for parents. Additionally, the government launched the Open University of Kenya with its first graduation scheduled for November 29, 2024. This follows the questioning of Moi University officials by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission (EACC) over the alleged embezzlement of 2.2 billion shillings through fraudulent projects amid a standoff over unpaid salaries totaling to 8.6 billion shillings. Harriet Chimea, K24.
A break. When we come back, I'll be taking you through some sporting action.